Come on. Sorry, good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. We are 5 minutes late, probably. So, um, been having problems with StreamYard for the last 3 or 4 weeks, and I don't know what it is about, but there you go. Hello, Robin. How are you?
Hello, Steve. I'm good, thank you. I wonder, is it StreamYard or is it Facebook? Because sometimes I think Facebook changes some of their behind the scenes stuff and then it impacts on other things. So maybe it's Facebook because I've noticed it's been a bit glitchy.
Yeah, yeah. I'm so sorry about that. If we made any appointments with you or anything else, which we have been, then I am so sorry that we've been kind of not been able to get on. Um, what happens to us is sometimes we get on and it says 404. Whoops, you're not working. Please try in an hour's time. Then goodness. Anyway, but
We're
you
here
know I
now.
love you, and we're here now. Um, Tell everybody about yourself and what you do and everything. Then we can progress.
So maybe if I start by telling you why I do what I do, why I'm so passionate about what I do. And really, it's because I was in the place where uh, I was feeling so low and so miserable. I was thinking, I just don't want to be here anymore. What's the point of my life? What's the point of me? What's the point in carrying on? And I tried the conventional route of going to the doctor, going to counseling, and they weren't working for me either. And looking back, just actually quite recently, I realized that it was because those things weren't helping me to move forward. They weren't helping me to feel things were changing and feel empowered and feel that I had the tools that I needed to live my life and to be happier. So I basically felt I was being stuck as a victim. So I looked for how I could make more positive and empowering changes in my life. And in finding those and in finding things that radically, like 180 or 360-degree turnaround of my life, to the point where I now see that I can enjoy my life. I can bring joy into my life. And my well being has changed as radically because our well being depends so much on how we feel emotionally. That determines also how we feel physically. And when I turned
Mm.
my emotional well being around, my physical well being turned around as well. And having found the way to do that, I'm then passionate about sharing the tools that I learned along my way with other people so that they too can access those and can put them into play in their own lives to transform how they feel and to make their lives feel happier and freer, more joyful, and a greater sense of well being. And so that's what I do now. That's my passion. That's what I love to share with people. And I feel so honored to walk alongside people and to see them embracing the tools. It's not a program, it's not a one size fits all, do these steps and you get to this
Mm.
place. It's
Yeah.
more when you understand these tools and how to put them into place in your way, in your life, in your situation, then things do change radically. You start to feel so different. And it's just small steps taken consistently over time. It's not something that's big and complex and painful. It's those small, simple, gentle steps done consistently over time. So they're doable and they start to feel better. And as soon as you start to feel better, you just want to do more and more and more, and you feel more empowered and you feel uh, this sense of kind of freedom and well-being and so yes, you just want more of it. And so it becomes uh, it's built its own momentum, and it becomes one of those kind of engines that just keeps going. I can't remember the term for them now. Perpetual motion. So you just keep on going and keep on
Yeah.
going, and you just get so excited and enthused rather than feeling that life is such a drudge. And my husband was saying something the other day. I said, but that approach is like just pushing a stone uphill and it just keeps rolling back. It's about finding ways that make life flow more, make life feel easier and simpler and more fun. And that's what I'm passionate about.
You are really passionate, aren't you? Because I've spoken to you loads of times, and every time I speak to you, passion just flows out from you.
Yeah, I've been told that I can get quite intense, but it's because having been in that place where I felt life's not worth living and seen how much that can turn around. I didn't believe that it was even possible back then, but having seen what a difference it can make, then I, when you just have this burning message that you want to give to people, you know that it's good news and you know that it could potentially make such a difference to them and to their lives, then yeah, it's something that it's hard not to be passionate about.
Yeah, I suppose we learn from our own experiences in life. Like I was the same as you. I wanted to kind of like just end my life and everything and jump off a bridge, and but the trouble is, then I was stopped. Then I was put into a psychiatric unit, as you know. But the trouble is, when I came out, I thought, you know, why did I do that? You change your thinking changes, doesn't it? Because when
Yeah.
you're completely want to get rid of your life, you know, all what's in your brain is let's do it. I don't know. You're really depressed or really low. All you want to do is just die or just do something.
You just want the pain to stop, don't you? It's not even necessarily that you want
Yeah.
to be dead, but you just don't want to be. You just want everything to just stop. If you could just have a big stop button, and that would be the end, the end of the pain and the end of
Mm.
the discomfort and the end of feeling like, for me, it was I felt nobody wants me, nobody needs me, I'm just a burden, I don't contribute anything worthwhile, all of those sorts of feelings. And you just want all of that to stop. So, yeah, if there was a big stop button, you could just press it.
Yeah.
Not quite like that, is it?
But Daryl, you're very enthusiastic. You kind of like you come out of your shell. You kind of tell people. You kind of like you coach people to get on with their lives and everything. And it's step by step, as you said. It's step at a time. Sometimes things might happen, but we get back up again and keep going.
Well, it's about where are you right now? What do you need right now? What's going to support you the most right now? Really tuning into that and looking for that, looking for what you need in this moment. And it doesn't have to be forced. So sometimes we get the impression that we must think positively. But if you're feeling in the pits of despair, that's too far a leap. And if you try to think positively, you're doing it from effort rather than it being something that comes out of a natural flow. So maybe in
Yeah,
that
yeah,
situation, it's not
yeah,
about I must think positive, I must think positive. It's about exploring, well, where am I right now? How am I feeling? How can
yeah,
I really connect with that? Allow myself to feel it, create a safe space in which I can feel that and feel it just at the right level so that it isn't overwhelming. So maybe even at the worst stage, at the deepest, most intense stage, having somebody there who holds the safe space for you, who can metaphorically or literally hold your hand and support you through the processing of the emotions, the understanding of the emotions, the coming to the deep compassion for yourself and to understanding where those emotions come from, that they are a perfectly natural and normal response to something. And when we can get that
Yeah.
understanding, then we can start to support ourselves, and we start to understand why we felt that way and feel compassion. So it's not, oh, I'm stupid to have felt that and I shouldn't feel that, all those things that our little inner voice often says to us. But to
Yeah.
be able to have that understanding and compassion, from which comes emotional intelligence, and we start to build these tools that are self supporting and lead to growth and lead to us having the tools. We've always had the tools, having access to the tools that we've always had within our own inner wisdom, insight, intuition, all of those things that we have, but maybe we just haven't been able to
Yeah.
connect with when we were feeling in such a low place.
How can we control our inner voice? Because our inner voice is like a, it just keeps on having a go at us. If we're in a situation like depressive mood, it'll go, right, you're going to be in a mood. How can we control our inner voice, or is it a way out?
I think sometimes we get that feeling, that sense that we need to control it, but the more we try to control it, the harder. It's like, if you push against something, it'll push back. So in trying to control our inner voice, we're effectively pushing against it, and it will push back, and it just becomes like a tug of war, and effectively nobody's going to win.
Yeah, yeah,
But if we could sit down with that inner
right.
voice and say, I hear that you're not in a very good place right now. Can you tell me why that is? And if we could see it as if, almost take a step back and look at that inner voice, inner child, whatever it might be, as an observer, and to start to explore it like a detective, and to try and understand where it's coming from, and then have compassion, because understanding that that inner voice is actually just trying to keep us safe. So if it's telling us,
Yeah, yeah,
don't go for that thing, you're not good enough, what it's trying to do is save you from embarrassment, maybe. Because if you think, if I have to step up to doing that thing, what if I fail? Failure will be embarrassment. Will it be embarrassing? I'll feel shame. So your inner voice is just trying to keep you from that embarrassment and shame. But if we can go, actually, it's okay. I'm okay with that, because I know my own worth. And if I feel embarrassment and I feel shame, that's all right. I can support myself through that. It's not as the inner voice is almost telling you, this is life or death. It would be so big to feel that shame. But if I say, thank you very much. Thank you for trying to keep me safe. I understand that's what you're doing. But actually, I'm okay. I got this. It takes away its power rather than pushing against it. Trying just to sit with it and see where it's coming from, understand it, but at the same time knowing, actually, I can do this.
tell us more about your business. Tell us, how kind of like, how's it going on, and the procedure where someone comes to you for the first time. It's like, for anybody to come to somebody like a counselor or a coach or somebody, sometimes it can be really nervous. They could be afraid. How do you deal with new clients when they come to you?
That's such a good point. And I think sometimes we feel that it shows weakness to reach out and ask for help. But for me, it shows such courage, because you're showing your vulnerability, and that takes a lot of
Yeah.
courage. So my big thing, if I'm starting to connect with somebody, if they've approached me and they've got whatever going on where they're not feeling in the best place, my priority is to help them feel safe. Whether they choose to work with me or not, I want them to have had a conversation with me, and through that conversation to feel safe and to go from hopelessness to hopefulness. As I say, whether they decide to work with me or not, it's about helping them at the end of that conversation to think, actually, I could come out of this. I could leave this point of feeling so low and in a dark and despairing place. That could change. My life can get better. And whatever path they choose to follow to get to that point, so long as they leave the conversation feeling that that is possible again, that's really what I want to achieve from that. I want people to feel safe and to feel hope, to feel a sense of possibility and potential. If they were to choose to work with me, then there are lots of different points at which they could come in and do that. I have a Create Your Own Wild Wellbeing program, which is a set of modules that people can pick and choose from according to what they want, what feels right for them right now in their situation, to create that safe space, to create the first steps along their journey of making that change. So what change do they want to make? How might they go about that? What steps might be good for them in their situation? And they can choose from the modules accordingly. Or if they want to dive in and do one-to-one work with me, then I've got a program for that, and we can do much more in-depth work if that's what they feel ready for. And I also have a workshop which is all about understanding a new paradigm, a new way of looking at well-being, which is much more empowering. It's much more about understanding our bodies, understanding the symptoms that our bodies present, because our body is a very biological, wise system, but it doesn't speak. It doesn't have language. So the only communication it has with us is our symptoms. And that's all they are. They're just information. Sometimes we've been led to believe that things like pain is the body going wrong, whereas I see it as it's okay, it's just information. And once you can listen, tune in, and begin to develop the vocabulary and understanding of vocabulary that you share with your body so that you can interpret what it's saying to you, then you can start to respond in ways that are more supportive. So that's basically what that workshop does. It helps you to understand that the symptoms are just information, what information they might hold, and how you can then understand what's going on in your body and take away some of that fear of disease that we often have and start to work with your body, supporting it rather than against it. I certainly was in a place where I did not communicate well with my body. I wasn't able to listen and to hear what it was saying, and quite often we were working against each other. But now I've learned how to work with my body, and it feels so different. This is the thing that we live in. This is our home. This is our vehicle.
Yeah.
This is everything. And if we aren't working with it, then it's a really uncomfortable place to be.
Is it important to be working with our body? And I know I know we got to live and all that lot, but kind of like spiritually or kind of for our own well-being, do you think we
We
need
are
to be
mind,
working with our own body?
yeah, we are mind, body, and spirit. And
Yeah.
I think we need to have all of those. If we want to be well, if we want to feel as well as we possibly can, and most of us don't even realize how good that can feel. But if we want to keep expanding and optimizing that, I think the best way to do that is to have all three, mind, body, and spirit, working together. Because just think about how does it feel if you are working well with somebody versus you're constantly just not quite on the same wavelength versus being totally on different wavelengths. How different does that feel, and where would you rather be? I know for me, I'd rather be working on the same wavelength so that you just get what the other person is meaning. You don't have to try and interpret it. And I think it's the same with ourselves and our body. When we're on that level, then things just fall into place. You know, that sort of sense of being in flow. I think that's what that is. It's when mind,
Yeah.
body, and spirit are working together, pulling in the same direction versus maybe pulling in opposite directions or slightly different directions. And you just don't make as good progress forward. You don't go forward in a straight line. It's not smooth. So I think, yes, it does make a huge difference when we're working with our bodies versus against them.
Yeah. So, what can your business offer people? So, if they're listening now, and and if they bring you up, what can you offer them? What I asked you this before, so
What I offer people is a safe, non judgmental space where together we can begin to explore, where are you right now? Where do you want to be? And how can you get from where you are right now to where you want to be? What is the smoothest, what's the best way to support yourself that that journey is smooth and it feels easier? It's not to say that it's always going to be easy and plain sailing, because it's taken us time to get to where we are and it's been a bumpy journey. And the journey back will have its challenges, but the challenges, when we look at it in this new way, the challenges are challenges, they're not problems. They're not huge and painful. They're, ooh, that's interesting. Oh, I wonder what that can share with me. Challenges are just new opportunities for learning. So it's how can we explore all of that together, and how can we create something that feels wonderful, that feels
yeah.
expansive and full of potential, and you just have such a sense of vitality. So, and as I said before, it's that sense of hope, getting back that sense of hope, getting back that sense of I can do this, this is achievable, and I know how to do it now. I know the steps I need to take. I know the processes that I can follow that will get me to, when I say that will get me to where I want to be, I think it's not so much a destination. I think life is the journey, it's not the destination. I think if we focus only
Yeah.
on the goal, we miss so much along the way. I think it's about being conscious, it's about being present, it's about enjoying the moment and just doing that
Yeah.
repeatedly. And then we get to where we want to be, but we've made the most of the whole of the journey all along the way.
Where do you want to be? Where do you want to? Sorry. Where do your business? Sorry. Sorry. Say that again. Sorry. Somebody's making me laugh here. Sorry. Where do you want to see your business in around about 10 years' time? Say.
I would love to be doing what I'm doing, meeting with and working with the amazing people that I'm honored to meet and work with, and to still be seeing, getting, the chance to see them making these radical changes. I'd love to be doing more of my workshops, because they really are such a game changer, and they give people the tools and the understanding to make radical changes in their life and in how they see dis-ease and well-being, and then therefore to be able to create more well-being for themselves. So I think it would be to do what I'm doing and just keep doing more of it.
Yeah. What's your biggest challenge so far since doing coaching?
I think it would probably be supporting people to see the value of investing in themselves, because quite often we are conditioned to think that self-care is selfish and that it's better and nicer to put other people first. But I think that self-care is actually the best gift we can give, not only to ourselves, but to everybody else around us, because then we have more to give. It's we're giving from a better place because we've got our own cup full, we've got plenty to share, and it means that we don't get burnt out and depleted. So I think supporting people to see that and really appreciate how good it is to invest in themselves, invest in their own self-care, and also to shift the paradigm, as I was saying earlier, around well-being, because we're so conditioned into the way that we look at medicine in the Western world that having a new paradigm can be quite a shift. So I think that's a challenge as well.
Okay. I hear quite a bit in this interview about hope. You've been talking about hope quite a bit. Um, is that what you're? Is that what you want from everybody to give them hope?
Yes, I kind of think it's one of my USPs. Somebody said to me,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
kind of your USP, isn't it? That you bring hope. And yeah, it's certainly a big passion of mine. It's having been in that place of being hopeless and knowing how horrible it is and how much you just want out. When you feel hopeless, where have you got left to go? If you feel hopeless, you don't believe that anything's ever going to get any better. You think this is it and it's hideous and I don't want to be here. So I think
yeah,
the thing that changes that, even just slightly, is to have even just a little bit of hope. And then if you have a little bit, you can build on that. Because they say the worst thing in life is being in a place of despair. So yeah, hope is it's a
yeah.
huge gift. And I love to be able to share that with people.
Brilliant. And the last question, and I'll let you go. This, the country at the moment we have got a lot of challenges at the moment, and when we just lost the Queen and everything, and everything's going on in the world at the moment. What would you say to these people who are kind of doesn't think there is no hope? There's no future for them. Can you kind of like come out with a few words and try to encourage them?
That's a very big one because everybody's in a different place. And certainly, if there's anybody
Yeah,
listening to this and thinking, that's me, I'm in a place of feeling utter despair and the world is going to hell in a handcart and I feel powerless to make any change, either in the bigger picture or in just my own little corner of the world, then I'd love to have a chat with you and see where you are and see where hope could come back in, and how things could change, even just slightly, to give that little spark of hope again. Generally, I think that if we can take a step back, because sometimes when we see things as hopeless, for a start, take a step back from the media, because we're being fed so much of that negative news.
yeah,
All of the problems, the Queen, yes, sadly, the Queen has died, and that is a big loss to our collective consciousness and our identity as a nation. But we have a new king, and it's you could look at it as the end of an era, which it is, but also you can look at it as, right, this is a new fresh start. I wonder where this is going to take us. It so much depends on your perspective, and this was one of my huge learnings. And Wayne Dyer said, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. And Bruce Lipton said, the moment you change the way you look at things is the moment you change the chemistry of your body. And so it's not just about our genes, but it's about how the chemistry in our body switches those genes on and off, and then impacts on which genes express themselves and on how they express themselves. So when we can change our inner perspective, our paradigm on what's going on in the world, and it can be as simple as just, if you're thinking on a physical world, physical world kind of perspective, you just have to shift your body very slightly and your view can change. And it's just the same on an emotional level. If we change, it only needs to be a very slight change, and our horizons will look very different. So I think when we can take a step back from media, turn off your phone, turn off your telly, turn off your radio, whatever it is, and take a step back, maybe take a step out into nature and just let that wash over you. And to choose where we spend our time and who we spend our time with, whether that's physical people or what we read, what we listen to, what we follow on social media, because all of these things have such an impact on our energy, on our vibration, on our thoughts. And when we choose things that are more uplifting and supportive and empowering and full of potential, we will feel so much better. And same goes for what we put in our body. So what we eat, what we drink, all of these things, we're feeding and nurturing and nourishing ourselves. And we can choose. We have got a choice, even if those are very small choices or feel very small choices. We can make them and we can choose the things that help us to feel even a little bit better. So for anybody who maybe is feeling a bit stuck, feeling a bit hopeless, I'd say just make a few little changes and see how they make you feel. And if they start to make you feel like a little bit better, a little bit maybe more energy or a little bit more sense of potential, then expand on that. If they don't, that's fine. You can cross those off your list, at least for now. You might want to come back to them later in a different time, in a different situation. They might be right for you. But for now, put them on hold and try something else. It's all just about experimentation. I think we take things so seriously and we think if we don't get it right first time, that's it. We've been taught in so many different arenas. If you fail your driving test, it's the end of your life. You'll never be mobile and get out and about. And how will you get a job if you can't drive a car? Or showing my age now, I did the 11 plus. If you fail the 11 plus, you're never going to get into the grammar school. If you don't get into the grammar school, you won't get to university. If you don't get to university, you'll never get a degree. If you don't get a degree, you'll never get a job. If you don't get a job, how will you pay a mortgage? We just have this whole catalogue of how things are going to go wrong from one small little thing. So if you don't get the small little thing right, your whole life falls apart. So we have that in our consciousness, but it's not truth. It's just a belief. And when we see that it isn't truth, we can start to take a step back and look for something that might actually work better for us, serve us better.
Brilliant, thank you. I remember the 11 plus, by the way, and and I remember when the old milk bottles we used to get too, and
in schools, the
we
little
used to get
ones.
milk.
Yeah.
Yeah, with the straw. Yeah,
Yes.
and
Yes.
yeah. I wish I was back at primary school right now. Anyway, Robin, as always, that was really, really good. I've just been kind of like sitting here, kind of like listening away. I think every time you come out, you're always kind of like impress me quite a bit in what you say and everything. Thank you so much. And if you want to listen to Robin, you can do on the radio a bit later on. We're going to put a copy on there. And if you haven't been over there, please do go over there. We've got some great stuff on there at the moment. Robin, thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Stu. It's always a pleasure to talk to
Thank
you.
you. Thank you. Bye bye for now.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.